Let's see the textures inside the hypershade. Preferably we see some of the initial textures, especially the 2D textures. So I would create a polygonal plane and open hypershade, assign a Lambert shader, and then go to the 2D textures and choose the bulge. Now let's assign the Lambert shader by middle mouse drag and drop, and then we have the color and alpha. So if I have to connect to the color of the Lambert, the out color goes there. But if I have to connect something else, like for example, okay, I don't prefer to keep the material viewer and the property editor here, so that I can make some space. So we have color, transparency, ambient, incandescence, they are color swatches, whereas diffuse, translucence, depth and focus are the value attributes. So if I say connect to the diffuse, so it's asking me which output has to go to the diffuse. So generally when Maya doesn't understand the connection, it will bring up me the connection editor. Let me try bulge to the color. Direct connection was made, and it is like color to the color, out color to the color. I just drop it in the bump mapping. Now you should see it's out alpha to the normal camera. So if I connect it to the translucence, it's asking me which information has to go where. So possibly we either choose out alpha and connect it to the diffuse or translucence attribute, translucence or diffuse attribute, like that. Alternately, we can also choose out color red and connect it to the diffuse, or out color green connected to the diffuse. Generally this attribute needs a single channel connection, so anything should work in this case. Okay, so it is very specific about out color and out alpha to know. There is a okay, so let me defaultly connect the out color to the color. Now press 6 on the keyboard to see the texture and the viewport. Sometimes the textures are not precisely visualized in the viewport. We have to render and see the correct result. So what is a bulge texture? If you see, there is a white color box which is constantly fading to the towards the edge of this line there. So bulge, by meaning, it should bulge something like a balloon or a cool mattress. Here we can better understand the name by connecting this attribute to the bump map, and then if you see, you get that sort of bump happening, which gives a bulge sort of effect there. Okay, so bulge is that. So if you open the attribute, you got the U width and the V width. So if I just select the slider and increase that value, the width of the line is increased there. So it is only controlling the U direction line, whereas this is controlling the V direction line. So I can make it completely 0, or maybe sort of increase it. Okay, so here if we right click on this, we have options like we can write an expression here, which will bring me an expression editor, and we can write a value, or we can write a command, or we can do anything with this expression here, a basic mel, or we can link up to the value of something else here. For example, I'm changing the V width, it's affecting the V direction, and U is not getting affected. So we can go to the expression and we can tell bulge 1 dot U width is equals to V width. So if you see, I change V width, automatically the U width is controlled with an expression. So I need not every time keep the same numbers into boxes. Instead, the V width is just now controlled with a slider, and U width is automatically controlled by an expression there. So there are so many possibilities if you explore the side of writing an expression there. I can right click and then delete the expression there. We can animate this set key value. For example, on frame number 1, I put a value of 0 and do a set key, and then increase the number, do a set key. Now if I go back and play, you see that. So animating these values will create animated textures and create wonderful effects there. So I can go to break connection and then avoid that animation. We have a set driven key, which is part of controlling one attribute with another attribute, which we majorly use in rigging characters and assets. So it can be used there. So it will be controlled by a driver, and we have create new texture attribute where you can connect another texture into this one. This connecting a texture can be also achieved by clicking on the checker panel there, and then you can connect a texture there. So if I go to something like fractal, I see I have connected to U width. U width is a value box or value swatch, not the color swatch. So if I choose fractal, fractal is connected, but if you notice, the fractal information is going into the bulge, but if you see, it is out alpha going into the U width of the bulge. You can select the node, press 1, 2, 3 on the keyboard to expand and collapse as per the requirement. Okay, so if I press 3, you should able to see out alpha is connected to the U width. Okay, now why is it important to understand this, whether alpha is connected or the color is connected? So if I select the fractal node, and if you see, there is a section called color balance, and here we got alpha, and in alpha you got gain and offset. So we can control the alpha gain here and alpha offset. Alpha gain is the value of the white color of the texture. So if I reduce this value, that white color keeps turning to the gray and then black. Okay, as alpha is not affecting the color, I'll just show you how the gain works. Just reduce the number, and you see the white part of the texture is turning to the gray and gradually black. Now what is color offset is the total value of the texture keeps adding. For example, if I increase this value slightly, if there is a value of 0 here or black, and there is a value of 1 at the white, so when I increase this gray value to, let's say, 0.1, so the black becomes 0.1 gray and the white becomes 1.1. So offset changes the value of the overall texture by this value, whereas gain is a multiplier for the texture. So when I reduce the alpha gain here, you should see the texture effect on the width of the map is controlled, whereas offset does this. So you can control this. It gives me sort of pillows with some rough edges or something like mattress. We can control the fractal, reduce the amplitude ratio, and then control the repeats of the texture to make it look very less intense, like that. And if I open the fractal, out alpha is going to the U width. You can take the same thing and connect it to the V width as well. Now if I reduce the value, it controls from the all sides. Okay, so this is the color gain, alpha gain and alpha offset, and also color gain works very similarly. So I'll just remove the fractal texture there, and then come back to the bulge, and what I do now is instead of connecting this texture to the bump, and then you should able to see that in the color of the model. Now color gain, as I said, I can, instead of taking white, I can take any other color which will affect my overall result. Color offset, if I take a color here, as you see, it should give me a combination of yellow and blue, but it has taken the value to white because, as I said, it will offset, it will add to the existing value. So that's the main problem here. So you should be able to understand the difference. Color gain is a multiplier for the texture. Color offset is addition value. It adds the value to the existing texture. So yeah, so you can't remap saying that when I take a color gain of yellow and color offset of blue, you get accordingly. It doesn't work like that here. Okay, alternately you can get into the effects section and use this option called color remap, and then it will give me a ramp where you can choose the black color to blue and the white color to yellow, and this will work. And here you can explore the possibilities of creating noise and frequency of the noise and waves, so that you can get the results accordingly. You can keep changing the values, and then you can create amazing patterns there. Even you can put more color inputs. And you can change the blending modes. And then get this sort of patterns there. So just remap the bulge texture there. So if I just get into the hypershade, the bulge is first sending its information into a node called remap RGB to HSV. So the color is no more in red, green, blue channels. It is in hue, saturation and value, and then from there it is connected into the ramp texture. So it is connected to the U and V coordinates, which can be seen here. So this is an automatic connection which is happening when we are connecting this thing. You can delete these two nodes and connect it back the way it is. Okay. So what is the default color? Let's say if I select the place texture and choose the coverage value of 0.5 and 0.5. Now you should see the bulge on one side because of the coverage, and you should see here the color, which is gray, and you can control them with whatever you want. So that's the default color. Alpha is luminance. Like in color we have RGB and HSV. The way you want to send the color, I mean the color has to be dealt with. Very similarly, we send value information either in alpha channel or in luminance channel. So here, by checking this option, alpha is luminance, you're telling that the brightest part will be value of 1 and the darkest part will be 0. Luminance represents light. or the brightest pixel with the higher value, darkest pixel with the lower value. Alternately, color means chroma and light means luma. So alpha information is now considered as luminance information. So certain nodes in Maya may not ask you alpha, but they expect luminance information. So in that case, we enable this option. It works great in displacement mapping. So if this option is off or on, you may get results working for you. So anytime if you're connecting displacement map and things are not working, just come here and check with this value. So bulge can be used, as I said, in creating certain patterns, like you saw a mattress pattern or anything similar. You can keep exploring different things here. For example, in the placement of the bulge, we have the translation. Okay, here we can connect a texture. Okay, so it's asking what to do, so I'm telling that out alpha should go to the translate U and translate V. Okay, now if I just go here and reduce the amplitude, then you get this nice pattern there. Okay, and we can explore the threshold value. You can see the textures are animating. We can control the ratio and just see what all you can generally do here. Okay, sometimes it looks great with bump map. You see that something like terrains. Actually I have not connected this with the displacement, but yeah, in displacement maybe I could even see from this view. You can animate the time and then they keep changing the patterns. Sometimes the bump amount can make some difference, like achieving crumpled paper texture. Okay, so people never know that okay, bulge can be used this way. Really cool, isn't it? So you can keep trying negative values and see if any flower vases or something like that needs this kind of texture. It's really cool, isn't it? Yeah, keep exploring this, connecting to different attributes. Maybe you can connect this to rotate frame, again out alpha to rotate frame. So there is a option of unit conversion, because radians and degrees issue goes on, so here it converts the values to the degrees. So I need to select the texture and see. So it's rotating the texture. Okay, but it's not showing any effect on the texture as such. Okay, Let's see the checker texture here. So I'll just connect this information to the color, and if you see here we have color 1, color 2, contrast. So if you want to change the color of the color 1, you can click on the color and then you get a color picker or color chooser. We can right click here and then go to the color chooser, and then you can choose the color from there. So we have a circle which is having a slider in it. You can click and drag it to anywhere and change the hue of your requirement. There's a point here which you can move and change the saturation, and you can change the value of the color. You can do that from here also. We have RGB sliders where you can change the red color or the green color with the RGB sliders also. So we have other methods of picking colors here. We can pick colors with other methods also. So we have the preset colors: red, green, blue, yellow, cyan and magenta, and different gray values. We have a color picker or color sampler. You can choose any color we want with the color picker, and whatever colors we have picked earlier will be listed in the color history. Once that is done, you can click the done button, and then you got the color, and then your last picked color can be seen in the color history there. So I just pick any color there, and here also pick any color. And we have the contrast, which will sort of mix these two colors or try to reduce the difference between these two colors, or increase or make it contrast. So again, we can choose any texture there. For example, in color 1, if I pick fractal, so the fractal can be seen only in the green color area. That is now replaced with the fractal. Okay, if you want to remove, right click and then break connection, and that should work. So we have the color balance thing very similarly, and we have the effects. We have an option called filter offset, which will blur the texture. We have filter value 1. This will affect our, if you see there is some jaggy edges there, so when I increase that, you see the jaggy edges are getting fixed. This is anti-aliasing value, so when you put the value up, you get the fix for that jaggy edges. We have filter offset, which you can increase and blur the texture. We can invert the texture, as invert works in any of your color editing or picture editing softwares. So this will invert it. It is nothing but 1 minus the color. So 1 is nothing but from white. When you remove the blue channel, the rest of the channels are red and green. So when red and green mixes, you get yellow. And white, invert of white is black. Okay. So if I've got let's say this is white and black color, and if I sort of blend it, and we have color remap, we can replace with this a texture. So black turns into red, white turns into green, and I'll take a color in between and put some color there. Now if you just explore the checker and then reduce the color offset, so as I increase the color offset, the gradual value change from black to white, there is a gray value. This gray part is now the magenta color, so red, magenta and yellow. So you can pick very specific colors. There. I should see some nice yellow line there affecting our texture. Okay. This is not really possible when we are doing with a normal checker. We are not getting that sort of border. For example, if I take this checker pattern, okay, and connect to the bump, okay, here I'm taking this value to 1 and this one I'm taking to a gray value. Okay. Okay, we don't get this pattern anywhere without affecting this sort of colors. It's really cool, isn't it? Just like some sort of tile texture. And we can just keep exploring different exponential values. Sorry, different blending values there. You can, as I said, literally use them into the displacement and get this fantastic patterns there. Okay. We can select the placement node, enable stagger. It doesn't work much. Even it looks like a very cool door panel texture. Maybe I can use it's all about exploring, connecting things and saying what works and what doesn't work. Here we got the color remap. I've taken a bright color in the center. I'll take a dark color and then this is beveled, and this is the deep part. Okay, embossed or engraved part. And this is the upper part, and this is the lower part. So just changing the color value can gradually affect the way it looks. Okay, in color, maybe I can take a fractal texture, and then I'll use color remap here, and then cool. So you saw we got that nice wooden texture there. We can duplicate shading network, and connect this one to the specular color, and put this color to black, and this one to slightly white. So you get a really cool wooden panel texture. As you see, we never know that checker works like this, but yeah, just we need to explore, try connecting random things and see what works and what doesn't work there. And yeah, you may get possible results as per the requirement.